City Council meeting for the City of Collinsville, February 23rd, 2015, to order with roll call, please.
Tognorelli.
Here.
Woolard.
Here.
Moss.
Here.
Kipta.
Here.
Miller.
Here. The invocation this evening will be given by Pastor David Amston of Navigation Church. Would you please rise for the invocation and stay standing for the Pledge of Allegiance?
As always, the pastors of Collinsville appreciate the opportunity to be here to open up City Council with prayer. And before I pray, there's a Proverbs that I'd like to read to you. It's a dad writing to a son saying that I've been giving you a lot of wisdom, but there's one thing that you need to know that will bring your body and your soul health. And it's this: keep vigilant watch over your heart. That's where life starts. Don't talk out of both sides of your mouth. Avoid careless banter, white lies, and gossip. Keep your eyes straight ahead. Ignore all sideshow distractions. Watch your step, and the road will stretch out smooth before you. The reason I wanted to read that to you tonight out of Proverbs is the one thing that I really love about our city and everyone that I know that works here is that you take this job to heart. And the one thing as a pastor that I always want to be careful of is to watch your heart. And so if we would bow our heads in prayer. God, we thank you for tonight. We thank you for city leaders and officials and employees that don't just come here for a paycheck, but it truly, in my line of work, we would call it a vocation or a calling. So we thank you for the ones that take this job so serious as they look into the future to guide this city in the way that they should go. But Lord, as they continue to take the steps, not only should they watch over the city, but God, I ask for them to watch over their own hearts, their own lives, their own mind, so that as the future comes before them, the road is stretched out smooth and they have a life and life of health. In the name of Jesus, I pray. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First item.
Speakers from the floor.
Speakers may address the council under the terms of ordinance number 4765. Time is limited to 4 minutes per speaker. Please refer to the last page for specific rules governing input. Is there anyone from the north side of the room? From the south side? Please step to the podium and state your name.
Good evening. Bob Despain, 108 Linwood. For starters, I hope the members on the dais had a chance to read the anonymous BAD sound-off about Collinsville, captioned "Streets in Disarray." The ashamed of a name coward should realize that if what was written was true, the city provides the opportunity to speak at council meetings. No guts, no glory. Next, the city clerk inappropriately answered my FOI request faxed on February 9, which is for 2014 W-2 forms. Information was redacted on the basis that it was private information. The Act defines private information as personal information, and that differs from public information. I assume corporate counsel is aware and could advise the manager to furnish a new response without those redactions. Also, I have already started preparing for the 10-year anniversary of my being arrested at a government library board meeting. The police did not know that eavesdropping laws had an exception that shiny black boots cannot stop me from addressing you as I am now. At the January 12 meeting, My comments were, do not elect anyone. Those who listened hopefully recall that there were 10 special meetings in 2012 and only 3 in 2014. The less held not only reduces transparency, but also accountability. Under comments from the mayor and council members would be the time to announce that the residents are entitled to transparency and accountability. I believe comment matters. Would be better for our residents with an explanation as to why fewer special meetings are good for them. We deprive them of the opportunity to speak, like bringing gambling or churches to Collinsville. Keep in mind that it is a nonpartisan, home rule, weak mayor form of government, unlike most of our neighbors. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else? Anyone else? Next item, please.
Comments and announcements from the mayor.
I have one comment. Last Wednesday, the League of Women Voters, not the League of Women Voters, I'm sorry, the Collinsville Women's Club held the Empty Bowl program at the Knights of Columbus Church to collect funds for our much-needed Collinsville Pastors Association food pantry. The food pantry shelves are getting extremely thin, and this is an event that's been held for the past 3 years now to raise funds to bolster those food items on the shelves for those that find themselves in need of some extra groceries for their families. It was well-attended event, even though the weather was cold, and I think that held some people back from attending. But still, it was a well-attended event, even though they don't have the figures yet of what was raised. They feel that anything that they collected there would benefit those in need in the city of Collinsville. So if you were there and you donated to the fund and had some delicious soup and some great entertainment, thank you for being there. I know CAMA's food pantry is very thankful, and CAMA is as well. So one of the things that CAMA does for the city is provides a program such as that, but they also provide the pastors to come and give us our invocation every council meeting. The city doesn't have to worry about lining that up. That's done through the Ministerial Association, and we thank them for that. And those are my comments for this evening.
Comments and announcements from council members.
Council?
I have a comment.
Councilman Toggarelli.
I want to comment on Mr. Despain's comments. First thing I want to say is I always speak, and I believe in citizens coming up here, and I believe for their right to speak, and I encourage it, and I actually look forward to it as a learning process for all of it. Last week, Mr. Despain spoke about transparency in the Collinsville city government. As a council member, I have strived for transparency, always asking many questions during the meeting to help inform the public about the city business and how it's conducted. I keep no secrets. If you attend or watch a city council meetings, you know I wear my feelings on my sleeve, and I'm not afraid to share them in open meeting. I will continue to ask questions as educating the public concerning how we spend your tax dollars is always a goal of mine. We have an open checkbook, has been for the last 4 years. The entire agenda is available to every citizen in the city on the website, including every check that was written, every bill that was paid, and every paycheck that was issued. the city council sees no more information than is available to the public on the website. Last week, I sent Mr. Despain an email, because I wanted to address it last week, but I really didn't understand your question, or his question. So I sent him an email asking him to explain his question pertaining to special meetings. And he sent me an email back that says, I choose to make no comment. Well, it's awful funny that he just stood there and says, comment matters. But I'll go on. We have had several special meetings or strategic sessions when it comes to spending taxpayers' dollars, such as the new water plant, work at the wastewater plant, the green space uptown, the Illinois 159 project, the 2014 to 2015 budget, the city's strategic plan, the application for the enterprise zone, miners theater, the new gaming laws, and I'm sure I've missed some. That's been over the last couple of years. All meetings are available on the website for anyone to go and watch. Just because we had fewer meetings than 4 years ago does not mean that we did not conduct business with total transparency. Every meeting of every board is televised and open to the public and can be found on the website whenever anybody wants to. I am a proponent of having strategic sessions or special meetings when we need them to educate the public and what we're spending your tax money on. The open discussion also helps the city council understand the issue at hand and make an educated decision when it comes time to vote. I do regret we did not have a strategic session in December of 2014 to discuss the 2015 budget, but it had already been approved since it was the second year of a two-year budget. I wish we would have reviewed it again for the public's inspection for the council. For that, I apologize. If I remain in office, it will not happen again. I would also like to see a change in input from residents that gives the council, city manager, or corporate council time to answer questions from the public that are brought up from the floor. If possible to answer. Some questions will need some research. They might have to be answered at a later date. I take all questions from the floor and all comments seriously and follow up on them. And you can check with the department heads and they'll vouch for that. And I see if they're answered promptly. I follow them up. But if I'm not sure what the question is, I don't know how to answer. Please, if you have a question from the floor, make it in the form of a question, not a riddle, like what happened last week. Thank you.
Anyone else? Councilman Moss.
I would just like to go revisit for just a moment the empty bowl. And just to say, in addition to the Collinsville Women's Club, the Junior Service Club was also a part of putting that fundraiser on. And they just do a phenomenal job. It was a fun event. If you go there and don't see a few people that you know, you haven't lived in Collinsville very, very long. But just wanted to say thank you to them for doing that and for all that they do. And I will say again, Collinsville has just an incredible network of organizations, community, faith-based, professional. The chamber, we're just really blessed with a community that works together as well as it does. So just a huge thanks, for the things that, it's like there's so many things that go on in this city that people do on a volunteer basis that very few people are even aware of. They're almost invisible, but the things that they do are certainly not they're not hidden for very long. So Mayor, thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else? Next item.
Comments and announcements from city staff.
Mr. Williams. No comment. Next item.
Consent agenda. Item K1, motion to approve payroll for the period ending January 30th, 2015 in the amount of $495,942.34. Item K2, motion to approve motion to approve payment of bills for the period ending February 13th, 2015 in the amount of $348,793.67. K3, motion to approve minutes of the February 9th, 2015 regular meeting.
Is there any item K1 through 3 that the council would wish to pull prior to a motion for approval? Being none, a motion for approval of the consent agenda.
I'll move.
Moved by Councilman Willard, second by
I'll second.
Councilman Moss will second. Roll call.
Tagnorelli,
Yes?
Willard,
Yes.
Moss,
Yes.
Kipta,
Yes.
Miller.
Yes. Next item.
New business, L1, motion to award bid and authorize contract for the Clay Street Water Tower repainting, project number TIF 580-15 to Tricoat Inc. in the amount of $538,000.
Entertain a motion for approval for
I'll
the
move.
painting of the water tower. Councilman Tognorelli will make the motion. Second.
I'll second.
Second by Councilman Kipta. The overview by Mr. Bill Cavalinas, Water Plant Superintendent.
Mayor, council, this is to get the approval to award the Clay Street Tower repainting bid to the lowest bidder. The three bids were received. Tricoat Incorporated was the lowest at $538,000. It is staff's recommendation to approve the motion to award the bid and authorize contract for the project. He'd be to answer any questions you might have.
Questions of Mr. Cavalinas. Councilman Willard.
I'm not wanting to revisit this for the purpose of, or not revisit because we haven't started there. I'm not wanting to bring this up because to really talk about the past and the decisions that were made in the past, but, and you may not be able to answer the question, but are there provisions in place so that the high maintenance cost of this water tower, like because of its location, that we can kind of foresee that instead of kind of being surprised by the amount that the repairs are? Because it's significantly higher than if it was in a different location.
I can bring that up to the director and see what we can check into. The amount that it is for the years that we've used it, it's not really that bad compared to some of the other ones.
It's just a lot more than if it was in a different kind of location based on the
This is true.
information I got.
This is true.
And I'm not trying to say anything about the decisions that were made. I just want to make sure that that we have things in place so that we can try and head that off, so that we don't choose a location if there's an alternate location available for these kind of projects that are going to end up running us more money than if they were somewhere else.
Okay,
So I would love to hear back on that.
Okay.
Mr. Williams.
Mr. Mayor, if I could, I have had extensive conversations with Mr. Kress about this issue, and I don't know exactly why the decision was made to put the water tower there, although we are going to have to live with it. It would obviously be too expensive to move it, but your point is well taken, and certainly staff I would hope that not just who's here today, but who's here for the next 100 years would look at those things.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Councilman Moss.
A comment, and interesting that you should bring that up, Councilman, because I had an informal conversation with Mr. Cavalinas before the meeting, and I said I was trying to remember why, that was 91, why the tower was, where was it before, why was it put there, and he reminded me that it used to be right here. So it was 6 of one, half a dozen of the other for that, and that we owned the property there where the police station is. And in hindsight, we had that discussion that we would probably, and you said too, it needs to be in the general vicinity for Uptown because of that. But in terms, and you're probably referring to some of the information that was in our, that they said, Director Kress had said that Edwardsville's was significantly less money, and it was in a subdivision, but it didn't have all the infrastructure around it that it has. And so that, I thought your question was an interesting question, and the answer is, it was and is, I know, they'll look a lot harder before doing something like that again. But millions of dollars to replace that or move it, and I know that's not what you were suggesting. But I think that's a question that has probably occurred to all of us, as you said, as we look at this. Hindsight, we said sometimes hindsight's 20/20, right? Isn't that what you said? But yeah, it's a good question, and I'm pretty comfortable with the answer. But in terms of in So when you say, and I just have a question of you, when you say going forward, you're not talking about necessarily the maintenance on this particular
No,
water tower?
no.
Because
Just in
that's
the
what I
future
thought
when-
you were saying
yeah.
at the beginning, but then I realized you were saying,
Other
before we
projects.
put something else right smack in the middle of, you know, in a location that's less than desirable, and I think that that's,
Yeah.
it seemed like a good idea at the time, I think was, was the way that was. So, thank you, I appreciate the opportunity.
Anyone else?
I got a couple questions, or comments, or both. I know some of the extra costs with some of the changes in the scope of work, like the cathodic protection against corrosion is deteriorated and it was gone. So that increased the price with the new kind of paint that's gonna incorporate the cathodic,
The new kind of paint will take
Protection.
place of that.
and all the old wiring and
That
all
will
that
be
stuff,
taken
that
out.
it'll all be taken out and
Yes.
tore out. There was some extra work at it. I know there was $20,000 I had to relocate communications equipment. And all the plates where the cathodic wiring was hooked to, there's holes in the tank that have to be welded.
True.
So it's just not, I don't think, I mean, I know that's part of it, the location, but there was other issues with the tank. And that maybe should have been looked at a long time ago too, but it hasn't been, and now's the time to do it, so. I think it was a good set of specs, and with the 15-year guarantee, I think we're gonna be happy. Of course, my wife buys 15-year paint, and I gotta paint every 2 years. I don't know, I don't get that part of it, but
Mayor,
I hope that's not the case with the water tower.
I don't think we're gonna be changing the color of it, Carol.
No, I think it's a good job on the scope and the specs, so we'll just have to go with it.
Anyone else?
Thank you.
I would like to comment on the location and the determination on, there were a lot of things in making a viable location, and number one was the infrastructure already underground. Trying to locate a tank, a vessel above ground that basically, and it provides storage for water, but the main purpose of that tower is to provide pressure throughout the grid system in the city. And to centrally locate it with the grid system that's underground, if you have to plumb and bury large diameter pipes to reach an outside source of, it doesn't do as well providing pressure. So that and the fact that the city did own the property then, and since has put a second one to maintain pressure on the north end of town so that it equalizes, and to have more water capacity. It was just a shame that we decided to build a police station on the same property that we have the water tower, but the police station was there first, unfortunately. But the ultimate thing here, I think, is technology has improved tenfold since they built it in 1991 with the coatings and the systems and so forth. We're getting a much stronger, more adherent, much more durable finish, both inside and out. And I can tell you, when they started taking down the old tower behind the building here, you wouldn't have wanted to drink the water had you seen what was inside that tower, because it was extremely gross. I know the things that were in there were not very nice, and it was in a bad state of repair. So this is going to improve the quality of our water tenfold and provide us with many, many, many years of
Yes.
good quality drinking water in the city. So with that being said, there's a lot more that goes into making this a viable thing. And I know there's been question that the cost to rehab and refurbish is a pretty good chunk of what we paid for the tower to begin with. But if we let it go, it would be twice as much than what it is today. So with that being said, any other comments? Being none, roll call.
Tagnorelli,
Yes?
Woolard,
Yes.
Moss,
Yes,
Kipta,
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Thank you.
Item L2, resolution authorizing the mayor to sign application and agreement for Madison County Sustainability Program in the amount of $15,000.
Motion for approval for the application agreement for the sustainability program.
I'll move.
Moved by Councilman Kipta, second by
Second.
Councilman Walsh. The overview by Uptown Coordinator, Ms. Leah Joyce.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Council. This is a resolution authorizing the mayor to sign a grant application for the Madison County Sustainability Program. The application is in the amount of $15,000 for Collins Park. The funds are requested for Energy Star HVAC equipment for the D.D. Collins House, wall insulation, rain barrels, and ADA permeable crushed limestone service plaza and a walkway in the park, and buffalo grass ground covering, which is a native planting. On February 12th, the Historic Preservation Commission unanimously voted to recommend to council approval of the resolution, and I would be happy to answer any questions.
Questions of Ms. Joyce? Councilman Woolley?
It's not really a question, it's a comment. Anybody who's been at these meetings know I have an issue with the plan, the downtown plan that we have, because it hasn't been reviewed and worked on and adjusted to reflect our new reality and the economy we live in. And while I'm totally for saving energy, I question the validity or the wisdom, maybe that's a better word, of moving the Collins House once again. And so I will be voting no.
Any other comments, questions? Roll call, please.
Woolard,
No.
Tagnorelli,
Yes.
Moss,
Yes.
Kipta,
Yes.
Miller.
Yes. No closed session.
Adjournment.
Entertain a motion for adjournment.
I'll move.
Have a motion by Mr. Kipta, second by Mr. Tognorelli. Roll call, please.
Tagnorelli,
Yes.
Woolard,
Yes?
Moss,
Yes.
Kipta,
Yes.
Miller.
Yes. The regular meeting of the City Council of the City of Collinsville, February 23rd, 2015 is adjourned.